well under the $40 price point. They come with great materials and pretty good fit and finish. So we're going to talk about two of their models, one of which is actually under $20. We'll start with that one first. Now, I actually have really high hopes, or I did have really high hopes about this as being one of the best sub $20 options. It has multiple ways to deploy it. It comes on bearings. It has a flipper tab. It does not have any up and down play, and there's no side to side play. It also has G10 and a deep carry pocket clip, which, by the way, is actually tucked into the actual G10 of the handle. So all in all, really good so far, right? There's only one problem. Now, I think it might be just my particular version, but it's certainly worth noting. So there doesn't seem to be a ton of tension on this lock bar. Like, it kind of feels like it can slide very, very easily out of lock. Now, that's a very simple thing to fix. All I have to do is take this apart, bend out that lock bar just a little bit, and it should press nicely up against the blade. So realistically, it's not a major issue. And knives at this $20 price point, and even at the $40 price point, sometimes have much bigger issues than this. So I am going to have to take it apart, test that, and see if it actually improves it. But as it sits, this is already a really good option. 8CR13 MOV, so not a no-name stainless, right? This is an 8CR13. And that is a steel that a lot of brands like Kershaw and CRKT are charging $60 for. So really, really nice, and about a 3.5-inch blade here. In fact, let me just double check that. So we have, yeah, about just actually over 3.5 inches, but nice, big, beefy blade, but still quite light. Not too bad at all for less than $20. Now let's go ahead and put this one aside, and we're going to bring in two versions of the same knife. This is the ST154. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this one right here. This is the, shoot, I'm going to have to put it right here and I'll let you know which version that is. But yeah, we're gonna focus heavily on the ST154. So these were sent to me by Sativian. I really would like in the future them to show scale a little bit better, and maybe even list the weight of the knives up front, because these are way bigger than I expected them to be, like substantially bigger. Well over that, well, let's take a measurement while we're at it, shall we? So here you have about just over 3.5-inch blade, 14C28N for this one, so really nice on the blade steel. This is their Zodiac series, so all of these knives are themed. This is the snake, and actually has a very snake-like appearance, especially in this G10. We're going to talk a lot about this G10, so I want to focus first on the blade. Really, really good job here. Nice, thin grind, fully even across the edge, and very sharp out of the box. So both of these were incredibly sharp. There's a nice forward finger choil and a relatively stout blade stock. So all in all, pretty good. There's multiple forms of deployment. It's a little bit rigid on the reverse flick, but that's so that it's nice and crisp with that rear flipper tab. It's actually tuned very, very well for this particular blade. So well done there on bearings. So far, so good. Now, I will mention, and this is important, this knife comes in over 6 ounces. So this is a big, beefy boy. And they did actually cut some weight savings in the frame, but somehow manages to be over 6 ounces. It's a big, heavy knife. So just keep that in mind. I'm also not a huge fan of these clips that are hard to copy. This is not a clip that I could easily replace. And I've seen on other models very generic deep carry pocket clips. Those are much preferable to these more novel, like individual clips that go only to their specific knives. It's just much easier to place, and it would be highly preferable. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this handle. Now, I get that they're trying to make it seem like snake-like, and this really does give me that feel. Here's the problem. What they've essentially done is create a hollow grind on the G10, right where your fingers are going to be. And there's a little bit too much humpiness going on here. So what the result of this is relatively bad ergonomics. All of this is sharp, and you can see, I mean, even my fingernail can start to pull some off with just how sharp this is relative to the back, which is nice and curved. Like they did a great job elsewhere, but because of this cutout, which is done mostly for looks, it's just not a particularly comfortable knife. So, good blade. Like, they got a lot of things right about this. It's just kind of a question mark on the ergonomics. I am all about aesthetics, and this is certainly a good looking series, especially with that sort of marbled G10 they have inlaid there. Very, very cool looking, but is not going to be the most comfortable knife out there. Just keep that in mind when you buy it. They still come in under 40 bucks. I think these are around 35. I'll have to look right now. But you're going to want to be aware of the ergonomic issues. Anyway, that's pretty much all we have to say today. I'm actually pretty happy with this $20 knife. I mean, that's a nice piece for $20. And I'm also really pleased that Sativian uses that 14C28, but keeps the price under $40. I mean, they're kind of in a league of their own while they're doing that, right? Keeping something sub 40, maybe even 30 with a 14C28N blade steel. So really, really good on that. And yeah, I'd like to see a lot more from them. Anyway, thanks again for your time, and we'll talk again soon.